time for Main Street Media Television's exclusive coverage of SEC Media Days, driven by Complete Service Heat and Air, your trusted provider of top-notch heating and cooling solutions, dedicated to ensuring optimal comfort and efficiency for residential and commercial spaces. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air in the right way. 24/7 service. Call us at 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties. SEC Media Days is also brought to you in part by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic, Micah Blunt, your State Farm agent, Tim Sutherland of Rolling Hills Realty, Pamela Witt, loan officer for First Lending Solutions, Luke's Breakfast and Burgers, the Roxy Theater, the Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee, and Alicia Duncan with 24 Realty. Now, let's go to downtown Nashville and join Maurice Patton, Chris Yao, and Wade Neely as they broadcast from the Grand Hyatt.
We are, in fact, coming to you from the Grand Hyatt in downtown Nashville, right here in the middle of all the Nashville construction. And there's plenty of it to be had, but this is Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Live from the Lee Company studio, we bring you the final day of SEC Football Media Days, 4-day affair, and it's finally coming to a close. And we have a special guest right off the top of today's show. Looking forward to it as we bring in the Southeastern Conference's commissioner and newly extended commissioner, Greg Sankey. Commissioner, thanks for taking some time.
It's good to be here. Construction and rain right now.
Construction.
It's still good to be here. It's been a busy week, but good week. We appreciate you all being here.
You about ready to get out of here?
I'm staying the night, so I'm good.
Oh, okay. Right.
Well, you know, I understand that when it rains in a place that we should move whatever event is happening from that place. That's what I understand. That's how it works here in the SEC with Hoover.
Baseball. And, yeah.
When it rains, we got to move it. So I guess that's why you're going
Rain's
to Dallas,
part of
right?
life. Yeah, we we're unique in that we're moving our media days around. Other conferences do not engage in that behavior, but we want to provide touch points for our fans and for media from different places to bring them in. Hopefully they'll stay with us.
So you all kind of encourage this to be a fan or for the fans to be a factor in this.
We would like to create more access points, if you will, or touch points. You know, we had a concert all planned out for Tuesday night, and then lightning struck, if you will. The weather got us. You know, the reality is, no apologies for the effort. When we've been in Atlanta, we've had an alumni fan festival activation. We use the college football playoff. Want to use some creative ideas in Dallas. Just to draw people into the Southeastern Conference. I think it's important that we make this not something that's so distant that people don't feel they're a part of it. We want them to feel a part of it.
When you look at this event here in Nashville events are unlike most other places. There are a few other places that can put on a party or put on an event quite like Nashville does. And that's one thing that we saw here all week long, that the events have been great. What is your impression of the city and how it has handled SEC Media Days particularly?
Well, it's been a positive experience for Media Days. Our interest and commitment to Nashville is represented in the fact that we've been here every year since 2014 with either our men's or women's basketball tournament, and we're out for 9 more years as the opportunity for our men's tournament. And if you go back to 2012, we were in New Orleans. We'd been at the Dome in Atlanta. Our presidents observed there's just not the kind of feel around that men's basketball event that we're accustomed to. And I was not the commissioner, but I was going to put on point for the conversation with Sean Henry and the Predators team, the city at the time. And lo and behold, we really created something special there. And we wanted to have Media Days here in 2021, I think, but the aftermath of COVID kept us away. So it's a great experience here. People are going to walk out and enjoy the life of Nashville, the restaurants, the food, the music. And I'm sure we'll be back. It's a matter of when, not if.
That certainly seems to be the case. And, Commissioner, while we have you here, it seems like every year when you come to this event, or when we come to this event, if nothing else, we just feel that buzz and that excitement that football is just a few short weeks away. And then inevitably we leave with kind of a few takeaways, a few key talking points. But I'm curious, from your perspective, what are you going to remember most particularly about this event here in Nashville this week?
We tried something new that was a success and well received. That will be at the top of my list. We tried a concert. We had great support from the Convention and Visitors Corporation, Visit Music City, from Regions Bank. That didn't work perfectly. We made the best of it. Had a little bit of a private event for sponsors and some of our key people. I think the atmosphere here was a little bit noisier, which is life. There was more camaraderie, real easy access. The Grand Hyatt was great. We got the construction, but that's well in the background. And look forward to seeing how we can make it better when we come back and what we can learn from this year that helps us next year.
Absolutely. And when you began this event this week, you and still do not have a tie on in reference to our
Right.
fallen Mr. Mike Leach. And I'm just curious, it seems like every coach, every real media member, everybody in this building this week has felt that unfortunate loss.
I wondered if that would be the case, in all honesty, just because we tend in life to move on. And for the Nashville community, our intent in honoring the members of the Nashville Metropolitan Police Department for their heroism on March 27th was an intersection and a reminder that we're part of this community. Our office is away, but we have a lot of alumni, staff, students, families associated with the university. We have Vanderbilt, the state capital of Tennessee, where both Vanderbilt and the University of Tennessee reside. And with Mike, we haven't lost a head coach like that since the early 80s. A plane crash took the life of an LSU coach. Different media environment, different expectations. We actually produced a movie about the loss of that coach, and it was so sudden. We were 1 week in Las Vegas, the week after the football season, for the National Football Foundation Awards dinner, and the next week being told that there was a pretty serious health event and might not make it. Mike might not make it, and then he passed away, and then we had the memorial. And I think Mike's influence. You take Josh Heupel at the end of the day. When I read the book that Mike had written, Swing Your Sword, I knew that they were connected through Oklahoma. I didn't know how deeply that ran, at least from Mike's perspective. I didn't know what some of the connections he and I share, and I just thought it was important to honor that we lost a coach that was here last year. And we have firings and resignations and all that stuff, and people don't show up one year to the next. But Mike's gone, and hopefully we've honored him in an appropriate way.
Greg Sankey, Commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. As we continue our coverage this week live from SEC Football Media Days at the Grand Hyatt in Nashville, Commissioner, one of our, as Chris alluded to off the top, one of our points that we kind of took pride in last year was we kind of got you away from football after talking about football all week. What are you binging right now?
Well, until this week, I was in my summer reading effort, which that will be my binge. I finished a book on Jim Thorpe, his biography, really quite interesting. I read a book on the 1896 presidential election involving William McKinley. That was recommended to me from a meeting, and you realize you think we got problems now. You need to look back late 1890s. You'll feel a lot better about our political circumstances.
So social media would have really blown up in 1896.
Oh my goodness! Like, they removed him from the House. He won a redistricted congressional district in Ohio, but a very slim margin, was verified, and then the Democrat majority removed him as a Republican from the House as a member and replaced him. We got to finish second. I'm like, wow, it's good to know that. So I enjoy reading. It's really good therapy for me to step away, helps me think and learn. I've turned off the TV. I've watched maybe 30 minutes of TV in the last 3 weeks, which is a bit refreshing. And I don't know. When I'm finished here, go see some family, and then next week kind of get back into the swing of things. So I got to figure out the flow again.
Now, when you
The
go,
books he's reading now, or when he's reading in the next few days, will be a lot less
yeah,
heavy.
yeah, a lot less heavy because I get a feeling that when he goes to visit family, there's going to be a little one involved.
Yeah.
Redfish, bluefish, and and all the Dr.
Yeah, we're
Seuss
not
and-
quite to the reading
No,
level. I mean,
yeah,
we're
but-
9 days into life for her.
Yeah,
But
that's
our
gonna change.
oldest daughter had our first grandchild, a baby girl. So we'll stay here this evening and then drive up. They live in Louisville and share a couple of days and then get back to it.
That'll give you a chance to decompress. Huh?
Yeah, it'll change your perspective. It's been we FaceTimed last Friday when nobody was sleeping, and so we had not seen her eyes open, and I think alertness and everybody's kind of figuring out the flow. My daughter sent us a couple pictures of her smiling a little bit.
I tell people all the time, my kids' parents, my parents and my kids' grandparents aren't the same folks.
Right,
So,
that's what I've heard.
Yeah,
I've heard that, so it'll be fun. Be a fun introduction.
Commissioner, when you look at the brevity of the Southeastern Conference and where this conference stands as the trailblazer for all of Power 5 football, what kind of feeling does that give to you and to your staff about what we do matters more than almost anybody else?
It's motivating, and since 1998, I want to get my numbers right, 6 of our current members have had football teams win at least one national championship. I believe the next highest comparative conference has 2 members that have won national championships. When we expand next July, we will add 2 more members that during that 25-year period have won national championships. So 8 of our 16 members will have had at least one national championship in football. And we've led the nation in attendance for 24 straight years. It is somebody once said you want to be part of something bigger than yourself, which we have done. But it does motivate you to figure out how can we provide the best possible support for those endeavors, those competitive endeavors, those games, those competitions, for how we recruit. And it's not just football; it's over and over and over. The last month of the NCAA championship year is June. Oklahoma won softball, Florida won men's outdoor track, Texas won women's outdoor track, LSU won baseball. Those are all of our members in a year.
Yeah, that's
And Texas won volleyball. Oklahoma won gymnastics. Florida was second. It's incredible competition every time we have a conference versus conference matchup. It's incredible competition every time we come together for a conference championship. And then an incredible opportunity for our teams to win more and more national championships.
Coach David Cutcliffe said on the show earlier this week, he said it just means more and more and more. So in the event that you guys use that, make sure you credit Coach Cut, because he had a pretty big hand in that one. And going forward, that just feels like adding those 2 more members and adding 2 mores. It just feels right. I mean, it's crazy.
In some ways it is. I've had to take a step back and catch my breath a time or two, but it's rewarding. It's rewarding that people want to be a part of this, whether they're student athletes to play, coaches to come coach, universities who reached out and wanted to join, or fans who want to attend. All of that's really encouraging.
Well, it's going to be an exciting year of Southeastern Conference athletics, not just football, but other fall sports as well, obviously soccer, and just an amazing conference that you guys have built, and it only gets better from here. And we appreciate the work that you guys and your staff have put in to making this the best conference in all of athletics, because as fans as well as media members, it doesn't get any better.
No, we'll keep working. I appreciate your participation in SEC Media Days. If the media wasn't here, it'd just be SEC Days. That wouldn't be very much fun for anybody. So we kind of do some of this together too.
Well, we appreciate it, and thanks for taking some time with us. We look forward to talking to you again down the road.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We will let him get his gear out of here, and thank you. We appreciate it. And now we have some other things to take care of, like yesterday's results and today's schedule. So we might as well do that on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
The Thursday Rundown is brought to you by Titans Flag Football. Have your kids play like the pros this fall season in select locations across Middle Tennessee. Titans Flag Football brings pre-K through 8th graders together to learn football fundamentals and, most importantly, have fun. Sign up for their fall season by visiting www.titansflagfootball.com.
Little League State Tournament action last night. Nolensville blanked Morristown 12-0 in winners bracket play. It was Columbia American 10, Lexington 4 advancing in the losers bracket action there. Major League Baseball yesterday, the Diamondbacks down the Braves 5-3, but the Braves bounced back this afternoon with a 7-5 win to salvage one game in that 3-game set. Last night, again, Cardinals 6, Marlins 4, Astros 4-1 winners over the Rockies. It was the Brewers 5, Phillies 3, Padres blanked the Blue Jays 2-0, and the Reds edged the Giants 3-2, while the Cubs down the Nationals 8-3 in minor league action. On national television, the Nashville Sounds end their skid with a 5-3 win over the Jumbo Shrimp of Jacksonville.
Good win for the Sounds last night. On the hardwood, WNBA scores. It was the Fever 82-76 over the Mystics. It was 98 for the Wings over the Liberty. High-scoring affairs. The Wings knock off the Liberty. Also, you have a score from earlier today. The Sun 82 and the Dream 71. And here's the segment everybody's been waiting for. They kicked off down under in the Women's World Cup. And New Zealand, with a shocker, knocks off one of the tournament favorites, Norway, 1-0. And it was also Australia 1-0 over the Republic of Ireland.
Little League State Tournament action coming up tonight. The 12U State Tournament down in Columbia. It will be host Columbia American versus Morristown at 6 o'clock. That winner will play for the state tournament championship against two-time defending state champion Nolensville. That's an 8 o'clock start. And if necessary, if Columbia American wins that game, the two will play again. If that winner of the 6 o'clock game beats Nolensville, they will play again at 7 o'clock tomorrow. I do have one. That's right. Yeah. Again, that if necessary game will be at 7 o'clock tomorrow. Major League Baseball
Weekend
tomorrow.
series.
These are all weekend series. The Braves go to Milwaukee. St. Louis goes to Wrigley Field taking on the Cubs. The Diamondbacks are at Cincinnati. Astros go out to the West Coast and play at Oakland. And in minor league baseball action, Jacksonville and the Sounds will continue their series at First Horizon Park.
WNBA action this weekend tonight on Prime at 7 o'clock. You can catch the LA Sparks and the Minnesota Lynx, and followed by a 9 p.m. doubleheader, Las Vegas Aces at the Seattle Storm. And also at 9 on NBA TV, Chicago Sky will be at the Phoenix Mercury. Tomorrow, New York is at Washington at 6 p.m. on ION. And on Saturday, you can catch Connecticut at Atlanta at noon on ESPN. Right after that on ESPN, it'll be Las Vegas at Minnesota at 2. At 7 p.m., it's the LA Sparks and the Dallas Wings. You can see that one on Twitter. And the Chicago Sky and Seattle Storm at 9 o'clock on Saturday, NBA TV. On Sunday, it's Phoenix at Washington at noon on CBS. And at 2 p.m. on NBA TV, it's the Indiana Fever and the New York Liberty. And that, folks, is your rundown. All right, folks. Well, we don't really have a top story today, Justin, because our top story was that Greg Sankey was here, but that's okay. We do need to tell you about our friends at Piggly Wiggly. And, of course, Piggly Wiggly at Neely's Mill in Columbia. And nothing goes better with SEC Media Days than food. But if you are in Columbia and you need some food, go see the fresh hand-cut meat department of Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill, or just get you some meat and 3 vegetables. You can always do that as well in their deli as well as fresh produce if you're looking for grocery shopping. Cost Plus 10, fantastic folks. And we are going to take a break. When we come back, we'll preview the Alabama Crimson Tide. Listen to what Nick Saban had to say, and we will break down their schedule right after this on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. We'll be back to the Lee Company studio. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Complete Service Heat and Air is a trusted provider of top-notch heating and cooling solutions dedicated to ensuring optimal comfort and efficiency for residential and commercial spaces. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air the right way 24/7. Service, call us at 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
It's time for Main Street Media Television's exclusive coverage of SEC Media Days, driven by Complete Service Heat and Air, your trusted provider of top-notch heating and cooling solutions, dedicated to ensuring optimal comfort and efficiency for residential and commercial spaces. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air in the right way. 24/7 service, call us at 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties. Now, let's go to downtown Nashville and join Maurice Patton, Chris Yao, and Wade Neely as they broadcast from the Grand Hyatt.
Welcome Welcome back in to Main Street Sports Today's presented coverage of SEC Football Media Days by Complete Service Heat and Air. It's time now to talk about the Alabama Crimson Tide. And to do that, we have to tell you about our friend Larry Maynard. As an All-State agent in Gallatin, Larry Maynard knows many local families. His knowledge and understanding of the people in the community helps him provide customers with an outstanding level of service. Call 615-452-1500 to reach the Larry Maynard Agency right there on North Locust Avenue in Gallatin for your insurance needs. Well, folks, it's Alabama, and yesterday was a bit of a circus trying to get the Crimson Tide in and out of here without too much rigmarole.
I was surprised the building was still standing after the Tide came rolling through here yesterday with all the chaos, like you said, that came through here.
No question, no question. Well, Nick Saban spoke in the electronic media room to television and radio reporters yesterday and spoke a little bit about the quarterback situation that his team has. Spoke condescendingly, as he is prone to do, about question marks that his teams may or may not have had over the past few years and what he may have this year. So let's send it to Justin and hear what Nick Saban had to say yesterday.
Well, we're never a shoe-in for the championship. We always have question marks about our team. Sometimes you all don't recognize them as clearly as what they might be, just like last year's team. Yeah, we had a great quarterback coming back. We had a great player in Will Anderson on defense. We had a lot of question marks on our team, but that gets overlooked because you have these two star players at critical positions. And, you know, this year, maybe we don't have those kind of impactful players at those critical positions. So it's very challenging to develop the team so that they can compete at a high level. We have some experience coming back on both sides of the ball, and we also have a lot of new young players who can contribute in a very positive way to our team. So, but every year is challenging. Every year is. And no matter what's happened in some other year, at some other time, in some other circumstance, it's not going to impact this year. The people on this team, the coaches on our staff, are going to do what they can to try to impact this year in a positive way in terms of what we want to accomplish and what we want to do. Is, you know, we need for all of our quarterbacks to develop on our team. I don't think anybody has separated themselves to this point, even though I see improvement in each and every guy in terms of how well they're doing and how they're developing. But we need that on our team. We don't just need a starter. We need a backup. We need, you know, good players at that position. Just like Jalen Milroe had the opportunity to play last year, we needed him to be ready in the Arkansas game and the A&M game. So when somebody separates themselves and nobody knows for sure when that is, and I can't establish a timetable to say on this date we're going to say this is the starting quarterback. It's going to happen when it happens, and that's the way it'll be. Well, I think that that's the way it's going to be. When you have a lot of good players and you do a good job of developing those players as they have at Georgia, we have done that some in the past, you lose 4 or 5 guys that are underclassmen, in some cases more, some cases maybe less. Instead of having 17 starters back, you got 12. So it impacts your team and makes your team younger. So the challenge is how can we develop the young players on our team quickly enough that they're ready to go out and create value for themselves and play winning football? That's the challenge. So, and that's what we've had to do in many years. Some years we've done it better than others. And that's going to be the challenge for us this year. First of all, I still feel like I'm 39, And Tommy's great. He's mature. He does a great job presenting to the players. He has good relationships with the players. He's very bright. He understands the game. He's a very good quarterback coach in terms of helping guys improve at that position, which I think is critical. We don't have any issues. He's very respectful of what we want to do and how we want to do it. And the guy's hungry, wants to learn. I think he's one of the brightest young coaches that I've been around for a long time. Coach Steele's a very experienced coach. He's been a very successful offensive coordinator in our league for a number of years. He's been with us in the past on several occasions, so he kind of understands, our system of how we do things and what we do. But so it was a combination of his knowledge and experience as well as his familiarity with, how we do things that made it I think a good choice for us. They're all good players. They're all good guys. They've all been good leaders. They've represented the program well. They're very experienced players. They've had a lot of success at their position. And I think they all have played a significant amount of football, probably as much as anybody on our team has played. So, and I think they'll both do a great job of representing the university and their teammates, here at this. So no really formula for who you bring, but hopefully those guys are someone that you'll be interested in, and they've certainly been great ambassadors for the University of Alabama. They've played really well. They're all three on track to graduate, so they've done everything we've asked them to do in a positive way.
That was Nick Saban in electronic media yesterday talking about his upcoming season. And, I think one thing that we all get, we've all been a little spoiled over the years just expecting Alabama to be Alabama. And last year, when Tennessee beat Alabama and then LSU beat Alabama, it really felt like maybe there was something there. There was a little drop off. But what does that mean in the next year? Well, it typically means that Nick Saban's going to use that for motivation. And like Lane Kiffin said earlier today, Paul Feinbaum, no shortage of ammunition in the motivating factor for Nick Saban, saying that the dynasty is over and that all of those things are no longer going to happen in Tuscaloosa. And if he doesn't make the college football playoff, then the legacy is tarnished and this, that, and the other. It's not a great time to be an Alabama opponent, I wouldn't think. And Middle Tennessee State has to be on edge because they are the September 2nd opponent in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, and any chance that Middle Tennessee State may have had of sneaking up on Alabama probably went by the boards last year when they went to Miami and beat the Hurricanes. I mean,
No doubt.
Saban's going to just hammer that point home with his guys, along with all the other points that he's hammering home over the preseason. Yeah, that may not be pretty for my Blue Raiders that weekend.
Be tough. I was at the 2005 edition when the Blue Raiders went down and actually gave Alabama a pretty good little game.
Took that game into the fourth quarter.
26-7. Now, obviously,
It
Alabama
didn't get away till late.
Didn't get away till late, and obviously things have been a little bit different, including a 37-10 loss in 2015 for MTSU. But Vegas says Alabama by 38 in that opening game. And the big, interesting question, if nothing else, I think a lot of people are going to tune into that first Alabama game to see how they look without the services of Bryce Young at quarterback. Because that, for the first time in a while, is going to be the big question mark about the Crimson Tide.
Well, it'll be, from the Jalen Hurts Tua Tagovailoa situation, when Saban said, "Look, you guys keep asking, my answer's not changing. I'm not naming the starter."
Mm-hmm.
How long will it be before we know whether it's Jalen Milroe or Ty Simpson?
we may not know until somebody steps out on the field with the first team offense against MTSU.
That's kind of how it was. Was it Blake Sims and maybe Jake Coker in that USC game where nobody knew who was going to be the starter until they got there? So, I mean, it's not like this is unprecedented for Nick.
So you're giving Alabama the win versus MTSU, you're telling me week 1.
Sorry, guys.
However,
as much as I would love for that not to be the case, I just can't imagine.
And we've talked a lot about schedule strength, particularly with South Carolina and Florida. Alabama, for what it's worth, does have the 8th toughest schedule according to Phil Steele this year, because guess who comes calling week 2? Granted, it's at home, but Texas, after a barn burner of a game last year, that is about as tough of a non-conference game as you can realistically expect to have. But again, luckily for the Crimson Tide, that game is in Tuscaloosa this year.
I think that's a big deal.
Yeah. Anytime Alabama can play at home, it's a big deal, I think, which kind of makes that Texas A&M game a little bigger to me.
Guys, this can't be right.
What's that?
This schedule can't be right.
Okay.
Alabama's not playing at South Florida.
That is correct, my friend. Week 3. Bulls.
The University of Alabama is going on the road to take on South Florida.
Tampa, baby.
Is this one of those like the softball team plays in the hometown of one of the seniors?
Well, see, here's the deal, though. I don't think South Florida plays its home. South Florida doesn't play its home games at Raymond James, do they?
No.
I guarantee you this game is at Raymond James Stadium.
They do play their games at Raymond James Stadium.
They do?
So
do they?
There we go.
Good guarantee.
That is, he's in the guarantee business, folks.
Wow. That's interesting.
I am
for sure.
I am flabbergasted.
Hey, kudos to the South Florida AD.
Yeah, you know they scheduled that game in 2006, right? We're gonna play you home and home. We'll get you back on the back end in 2023. Is that cool?
Yeah.
That game was scheduled.
National titles.
That game was scheduled when Bama was down here and USF was maybe riding their all-time high.
Back when what was the coach who was
Jim Leavitt?
Yeah, when Leavitt was there and he had them rolling.
Yeah.
Golly, that is insane. Still think they're going to get the win on the road. What do you guys think?
You know what?
This is one of those chickens coming home to roost kind of things. Okay,
There's no Vegas line on that game, but yeah, I feel pretty confident in saying Alabama goes on the road and gets the win.
Does South Florida get the 3-point home field advantage from Vegas on that one?
Sure they do. Does it matter? No, it doesn't.
Absolutely not.
Whatever the line is on that game, give me Alabama.
Wow.
I don't care. I don't care.
And then that's when they get Ole Miss in week 4. We talked about it earlier when we did the Ole Miss segment with Michael Borky of Sports Talk Mississippi, and we heard from Lane Kiffin about his relationship with Nick Saban and what that means. I just feel like, Nick has now lost twice to former assistants, which had not happened until 2 years ago, I guess, maybe last year. 2 years ago, because that's when Zach Calzada got the win in Texas A&M. Lane Kiffin just doesn't have the talent, the horsepower to take on this Crimson Tide team, right?
You don't think?
So,
especially with Bama with a little extra juice, as we said, thanks to the defensive coordinator for Ole Miss connection there. So,
yeah, Pete Golding. You don't think the Alabama knows how to attack now? Again, Tommy Rees, brand new coordinator, coming from Notre Dame, 30-something years old. It's not just 30. I don't know. He's young.
Mm-hmm.
So and then Mississippi State, you feel like that's a win. What's the first time on this schedule that this team is tested? Is it Tennessee?
For me, it's going to be just the unknown factor of Texas A&M, and if it's not Texas A&M, then yes, it is Tennessee.
Well, they've certainly failed to deliver in College Station several times under Nick Saban's tutelage. So,
Is it not Texas?
I mean,
in terms of overall, yes, I think Texas. But it's been so interesting because we're looking at them under the lens of already of an SEC team, thanks to the surroundings we've been in this week. But yeah, you kind of think of it as a conference game almost. But that is going to be, we've talked about so many good non-conference games this year. I mean, that's got to be your number one outside of your traditional rivalry non-conference games. They're saying that Sarkisian in Texas, we just had Anwar on the show 2 days ago. He said, if not now, then when for Texas? So that's got to be the first big test for Alabama.
Okay.
After the MTSU game, where they may not get a lot of answer to the questions they're looking for because, with all due respect to the Blue Raiders.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately for Blue Raider faithful, I think you're going to see both Milroe and Simpson a lot in that ball game just to see them, against somebody they don't know. Somebody who isn't cooperating on the defensive side of the ball, that kind of thing, just to kind of get them some live work. And, I would kind of expect quarterback to be bracketed at the top of the depth chart going into that game. And whoever starts, the other one's going to play as well. But I think Texas is the first big test, not A&M, not Tennessee. I thought, because again, for everything that Anwar said, this is a pivotal year for Texas as they leave the Big 12 and get ready to come into the SEC. I mean, this is kind of an opportunity for them to announce their presence with authority, as they say.
So if they get by Texas, say they do, you've got Texas A&M, Arkansas at home, Tennessee at home, off week, LSU at home. They get they get a really solid slate of home games for, obviously having to go on the road last year and dropping those two. Feel like they want to certainly take control against Tennessee and LSU, but it won't be easy to do.
No.
And part of that will be because of these fellas sitting and standing and walking around right here, wearing Tennessee orange. I feel like this is and then, of course, at Auburn, where strange things have been known to happen.
I'm not sure Auburn can make anything strange happen against Alabama this time around.
Listen, man, I don't discount. I mean, 2 years ago, if not for Bryce Young's fourth quarter heroics, Auburn beats this team in Brian Harson's first year.
Which is crazy to think about.
I'm just telling you, strange things happen down on the plains.
All right. Duly noted.
Now, I don't know where Auburn is at that point in the season and what they're – but you can rest assured it really doesn't matter. They're going to be playing for blood against the Crimson Tide.
Here are the numbers on Alabama.
Let's go.
And they're one of the first teams outside of Georgia that we're really kind of diving into this. Alabama, in terms of winning the national championship, 6-1.
Okay.
Alabama, in terms of winning the SEC, 3-1. Alabama to win the SEC West, however, now they tip into a favorite. They're a small favorite. LSU, as we mentioned on a couple other pieces of this show, throughout the week, LSU is a small underdog, and then Texas A&M a smaller underdog behind them before it really kind of falls off within Ole Miss, Auburn, Arkansas, and Mississippi State. So Alabama is the presumed favorite, and we'll get the official poll from the media members a little bit later today. They're going to be the presumed favorite, but you're right, guys. There are question marks, and to me, it just doesn't feel like Alabama's just going to cakewalk through this thing and come out as unscathed as maybe some folks in Crimson would have potentially expected or assumed otherwise.
I think most fans know that there's questions, and I'm really curious to see how this one plays out. I mean, super curious, because Tennessee and LSU are in Tuscaloosa, and that I think is the biggest, and Texas. All three of those games in Tuscaloosa, I think that's the biggest thing that you have to look at when you look at the finality of this season for Alabama. I feel like that's going to play a massive part.
Absolutely.
Let's tell you about Larry Maynard one more time. As an Allstate agent in Gallatin, Larry Maynard knows many local families. His knowledge and understanding of the people in his community helps him provide customers with an outstanding level of service. Call 615-452-1500 today. We'll take a break. When we come back, the Braves won, so I guess they're not going to be sellers at the deadline. I don't know.
At least for today.
At least for today. We'll talk about it right after this on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Come back with us. Since 1975, Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic has treated the orthopedic needs of Middle Tennessee residents. The trained physicians provide surgical options and minimally invasive options to treat all orthopedic needs. The walk-in clinic, OrthoQuick, helps you bypass the ER while treating sports injuries and acute needs Monday through Saturday. Visit MTBJ online at mtbj.net or on social media at Mid-Tennessee Bone Joint Clinic.
Tired of hanging lights every year? We get it. That's why Southern Nights is here to help. We install programmable lighting on your home or business so you can enjoy beautiful, customizable lighting all year round. No more ladders, tangled lights, or cold nights outside. We do the work, you do the celebrating. Call Southern Nights today and take the hassle out of holiday lighting forever. For a free quote, give us a call at 931-241-3074 or visit our Facebook page at Southern Nights.
If you're looking to buy or sell in Dickson County, Tennessee, call Tim Southerland at Rolling Hills Realty. As a seasoned realtor, Tim knows how to get you the best price for your home. Selling your home is one of the biggest decisions you'll make, so trust the expert. Call Tim Southerland today at 615-720-1568 or visit rollinghillsrealtydixon.com.
Complete Service Heat and Air is a trusted provider of top-notch heating and cooling solutions dedicated to ensuring optimal comfort and efficiency for residential and commercial spaces. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air the right way 24/7 service. Call us at 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties.
July 20th, 1993. Acquired 2 days earlier from San Diego, Fred McGriff introduced himself to Braves faithful with a 2-run game-tying homer in the 6th inning of an eventual 8-5 comeback victory over visiting St. Louis. It's referred to as the days the Braves caught fire because of a pregame blaze in the Atlanta Fulton County Stadium press box, and because the victory sparked a 51-17 run to the end of the season as the Braves overcame a 9-game deficit to win the NL West. That was this day in Braves history.
The Braves did indeed catch fire at that moment. Of course,
30 years ago today, by the way. This is the
In the
30-year
70s?
anniversary of that. Yeah, exactly. No. Yeah. Yeah, in the 70s. Yeah.
You know, and it's odd because, of course, the Braves did not go to the World Series that year after catching fire late. That was the year the Phillies.
The Phillies.
Yeah. Made the World Series. But speaking of catching fire, Austin Riley has certainly caught fire this week. Matt Olson caught fire today, and together the two of them salvaged a game against the Diamondbacks to end a 4-game national nightmare with Atlanta on the skid.
Yeah, we won't have to sell everybody off.
You know,
I was beginning to look really hard at the Gwinnett roster to see what was going to happen after all those trades.
Yeah, who is there going to be anybody left?
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness. But, you know, today was a weird day because Spencer Strider was so good until he wasn't. I mean, struck out, what, 12?
13.
Struck out 13 total, but 12 of the first 15 batters he faced. Zach Gallen was almost just,
For a while,
he was
yeah.
perfect until Orlando Arcia said, see you later. And, you know, the Braves, with their home runs and whatnot, it was enough today, and you'll take that.
Kirby Yates with the win, by the way.
Get out of there with a win. Go to Milwaukee and let's figure this thing out.
I'm not sure that going to Milwaukee is the best place to go to try to figure things out either.
Well, and Milwaukee coming off of a obviously big couple of set wins over Cincinnati, and I'm not sure who they played this week, but
I thought they played Philly.
I think they did, matter of fact, because we were talking about thanking
them,
Milwaukee
yeah.
for those wins to keep Philadelphia at bay while the Braves were losing. So, you know, obviously the Brewers, and we know, we've coming down and having great times in Nashville on rehab starts and that sort of thing. So Brewers and Braves, always fun when you get those two clubs together.
Yeah.
Milwaukee and Atlanta.
I think it'll be a pretty good series this weekend, honestly.
It'll be a pretty good series next weekend as well, actually, when Milwaukee comes to Atlanta.
So they're just getting familiar with one another this weekend before the real bloodletting for one of those teams next weekend, hopefully.
That's the idea. Now, Strider with today's start means that Michael Soroka will go tomorrow. Soroka will take on Freddie Peralta because that's who you want to play. That's who you want to face if you're Michael Soroka. But
6-7 with a 4.41 is Peralta.
And then get this, the Braves in Milwaukee are on Big Fox on Saturday.
Third week in a row.
But they don't know who they're going to throw. Undecided right now against Adrian Hauser.
I bet it's Smith Schauffer.
It's certainly not going to be Jared Schuster after what we saw last night.
No, it's not going to be Jared Schuster. Obviously, it's not going to be Kobe Allard. Almost running out of options. Is Max Fried making a rehab tonight?
It's a good question. I'm
I believe he is.
not sure if Max is going to be throwing.
I believe he's throwing for Gwinnett against Norfolk tonight.
Well, against the Baltimore Orioles AAA club, who have been red hot all season
All
long.
year. All year. Yeah.
So reevaluated on Wednesday of this past yesterday, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting to see him coming back here soon, if not immediately after this next start, in time to start next week. Wade, your Astros are in Oakland, and let me tell you, don't take that for granted.
No, and that's it. even though they have kind of cooled off from their tear a couple weeks ago, that's certainly a series that Houston needs to go in and just get in there and take care of business and hopefully come out with a couple of wins for sure. And obviously you'd prefer 3, but you're right. That could be a dangerous place, as you guys well know.
Do we ever?
We do.
But you got the Dodgers.
You don't just roll out to Oakland and think you're just going to take care of business.
Apparently not. The Dodgers in Arlington taking on the Rangers. So an opportunity here for the Astros.
A little out-of-town scoreboard watching will be had over the next couple of days as, like I said, you hopefully – and while we're talking big series, and not Houston, not Texas, but the Orioles and Rays are getting it on.
The American League East leading Orioles.
That is correct indeed. And
Tampa Bay started off so hot, and then the NL East broke them.
That is going to be a big series that kicks off. It is down in Florida, but we'll see how that shakes out this weekend.
Well, now you know.
6 hours ago at Braves, Max Fried's rehabilitation assignment has been transferred from Rome to Gwinnett, and he will start tonight against Norfolk.
There you go.
So that'll be his, third rehab start?
Third rehab start. You got to feel like he's pretty close.
Yeah. So.
If you're looking at other games, like you said, that are interesting, of note, take a look Saturday. Also, I guess you'll get one or the other. You probably won't get this one. If you're getting the Braves Milwaukee, you're probably not going to get Chicago and Minnesota. But, boy, that's got to be weird. Milwaukee, Chicago, and Minnesota are all right there together. How do you decide who gets what game if you're Fox? That's interesting.
Well, if you're Fox, you probably take the worst decision, and that's the one you pick.
There you go. But Dylan Cease and Sonny Gray going at it. And if we know anything about Dylan Cease from this past weekend, that guy is a unit. And Sonny Gray has been one of the best pitchers all year long. So
if I have to see Dylan Cease again, I would just as soon it be in a Braves uniform, to be honest. So.
Well said.
Yeah.
So there's that. Just want to throw that out there. So, yeah, pretty interesting weekend across Major League Baseball. Anything else on the Braves? What's the
that's about
the latest?
I think that's the latest. I mean, Max getting the start tonight. I don't know where that Gwinnett Norfolk game is. I don't know that it really matters because we're not really looking for anything other than him to continue to build up his pitch count and be ready to rock when he finally rejoins the Braves.
There you go. All right, well, we'll take a break. When we come back, preview Tennessee. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, we'll talk to Ramon Foster right after this on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, coming to you from SEC Football Media Days kickoff event at the Grand Hyatt. Coming back to the Lee Company studio in just a moment. Since 1975, Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic has treated the orthopedic needs of Middle Tennessee residents. The trained physicians provide surgical options and minimally invasive options to treat all orthopedic needs. The walk-in clinic, OrthoQuick, helps you bypass the ER while treating sports injuries and acute needs Monday through Saturday. Visit MTBJ online at mtbj.net or on social media at Mid-Tennessee Bone Joint Clinic. Complete Service Heat and Air is a trusted provider of top-notch heating and cooling solutions dedicated to ensuring optimal comfort and efficiency for residential and commercial spaces. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air the right way 24/7 service. Call us at 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Did you know that up to 80% of us will experience back or neck pain during our lifetime? Many of you are offered surgery or addictive pain pills to relieve your chronic pain. At the Dr. Gill's Center for Back, Neck, Chronic Pain Relief, we have been leading the way to better health, naturally, and have helped tens of thousands of people right here in Middle Tennessee for the past 30 years.
I came to Dr. Gill about 10 years ago after my local doctors recommended surgery. I knew about Dr. Gill and wanted to see if he could help me. 10 years later, I am pain-free, no surgery, and no pain pills.
Surgery is scary, and over 40% of all back surgeries fail, creating a cycle of surgery and pills. There is a safer solution to your chronic pain. Make the call to the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, Chronic Pain Relief today and get your life back. This office visit is normally $299, but call today and receive your initial consultation, report of finding for just $49. But hurry, this offer won't last long. Call 615-768-8743. That's 615-768-8743.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
It's time for Main Street Media Television's exclusive coverage of SEC Media Days, driven by Complete Service Heat and Air, your trusted provider of top-notch heating and cooling solutions, dedicated to ensuring optimal comfort and efficiency for residential and commercial spaces. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air in the right way. 24/7 service. Call us at 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties. Now, let's go to downtown Nashville and join Maurice Patton, Chris Yao, and Wade Neely as they broadcast from the Grand Hyatt.
Welcome back into Main Street Sports Today's live coverage from SEC Football Media Days kickoff event at the Grand Hyatt in downtown Nashville. Mo Patton, Wade Neely, I'm Chris Yao, and we are talking a little Tennessee football.
Well, first of all, you never talk a little.
That's right.
Tennessee football.
Not in Middle Tennessee. There's no question there.
So.
And I'm looking forward to this segment because we do have a fantastic guest, and we're going to tell you about him in just a moment. But first, we have to tell you that this segment is brought to you by Dairy Berry Heat and Air, proudly serving Middle Tennessee for over 35 years. For outstanding service, you call Dairy Berries at 615-452-8121 for all your heating and air needs. Dairy Berries Heat and Air, making customers for life.
They rejected
our jingle.
Yeah, that's unfair.
It really, not only is it unfair, but
can we throw it in anywhere?
Dairy Berry Heat and Air, comfort for your dairy air.
I'm on board with that.
Ramon, don't you like that better?
I actually like it better because you know why? You're going to remember it. You're going to remember that one. I promise you. That one's going to stick. No pun intended.
Ramon Foster, former UT offensive lineman, 11-year NFL veteran with the Pittsburgh Steelers, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today as we continue with our coverage of SEC Football Media Days. Ramon, welcome.
Thank you for having me. 100%.
Well, you were saying that you never got here as a player.
Yeah.
So this has been fun, I guess, huh?
It has been fun, especially on this side where I don't have to worry about going to practice the next week. That's the other side of it.
And backing up what you just said.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Not being a guy to say something stupid up there, because the young version of any man, anyway, any male, right, will say some silly stuff on the stage given a mic and cameras. But this has been a cool experience for me, being in the sports media world now, too, and also right here in Nashville. Like, we can go home at the end of the day here, So it's been fascinating. Nashville always puts on the show, but I think all of us can recognize, too, that the SEC, they know how to do it right. Who stretches a media day conference over 4 days?
And it's only going to get bigger because we got 2 more teams coming.
That's right. I forget about that, too. I didn't forget about that. I want to forget them. But, hey, Texas and OU coming into the fold. It's going to be a very competitive league, and I think it's better for all teams for it to be that way.
Ramon, part of the Ramon, Kayla, and Will show that airs from 6 to 10 a.m. on 104.5, The Zone. And as we were saying off air, I did that 6 o'clock thing for one football season, literally one high school football season. I don't envy you at all.
You know what? As busy as my lifestyle is, I've retired and actually got more busy because my kids are at that age where we're doing travel baseball, we're doing football, we're doing every sport, school, and stuff like that. But I get in early, I get to work, if we call it work, from 6 to 10, and then I get an opportunity to spend time with the wife and the kids in the afternoon. So it's worked out better for me, and also playing football, I was an early riser type guy anyway. I'd be working out by like 5:30, during the season and whatnot. So it's been a cool adjustment. That first 2 weeks, it did knock me over a little bit. I will admit that.
Yeah, it's kind of a lifestyle change if you're not careful. But as you look at the situation at your alma mater and everything that they were able to get done in year 2 of Josh Heupel. Obviously you got to change at the quarterback, but what are your expectations out of that team this time around?
I'm hoping for a little bit of the same, finding some consistency from year to year with the university, whether it be player development, offensive production, or just continually stay a top 12, top 5, top 10 type of team. I think that's the expectation moving forward, and Coach Josh Heupel has kind of shown that he's capable of. Some of the stuff that he's knocking out a little bit is having the ability to recruit, being in a position where when he took the job, a lot of people didn't know much about Josh Heupel. Heck, a lot of us didn't even know he was a runner-up in the Heisman. So to have that be a part of his repertoire, to have him being able to get a 5-star recruit as it stands yesterday and the year before that too with Nico Iamaleava, that shows that we're moving in the right direction. So I look forward to seeing him continue to develop players this year. And compete in the East. I think a lot of people are picking Tennessee to be the SEC East, second in the SEC East. If we can get close to Georgia, because right now we go from playing Alabama every year to now Georgia being a trench monster, I think that's the expectation. It's fair to say floor 9 games plus that, I think that's all right and can keep Tennessee in the national forefront until you can recruit at a higher, wider range the way Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia have been able to do for years.
You talk about the recruiting piece earlier this week. Receiver Mike Matthews from the Atlanta area.
Yeah.
5-star guy commits to Tennessee. You talk about can Josh Heupel recruit at a high level. With Georgia doing what they're doing, getting that guy out of Atlanta would seem to be a bit of an answer to that question.
It would, and Georgia wanted him. Clemson was right down the street from him also. I mean, we got to remember Clemson's right in the Atlanta area. They recruit the same type of players at the same schools, and for Tennessee to kind of mosey themselves in, I'm hoping it's not a one-off because it's one thing. Is I tell my kids, you show me something fascinating, all right, that's real cool, and I like that thing, but let's do it again. And I think if Josh Heupel is anything like I think he is with the competition, the competitive side of his DNA, I'm hoping that's what him and his staff are thinking too.
And when Tennessee has been at its best, they've recruited Georgia and the Atlanta area.
Yeah. They have, and I think a lot of people have kind of said this too. Now, I guess we're seeing the tug of war between these two schools. It's the Georgia, Atlanta area, and it's the Carolinas. I had somebody bring that up to me recently. It's like, you know, if you look at the history of Tennessee and the years that they've been good, on the other end of that, Clemson has not been good. It's like because Clemson they create a wall around the Carolinas and that Georgia area they tap into. So it's a universe where Tennessee and Clemson can't coexist at being top 5 or programs. So us being able to get Mike Matthews away from them, because I think it may have been between us and Clemson for the most part, says a lot about where they are.
Ramon, we've got you here, and you've already used the term trench monster. There's going to be a ton of talk about the quarterback position throughout the day, but I'm curious. Talk to us about the offensive line. Tell us about the defensive line. Where do the Vols rank in the SEC pecking order with those two units?
Still figuring themselves out offensively and defensively. That's kind of just where I'm at. You look at where Georgia is, Alabama. Heck, I'd even throw the class that A&M had a couple years back too. Like, you have to develop those bigs. You have to also have your bigs have a DNA of what the expectation of play is. And we're still figuring that out as a school. But I'll say this, they've gotten 4-star guys up front. They've got high caliber guys, and Coach Glenn Ellaby offensively got a top 10 pick last year under his coaching regime. So, and Darnell Wright. But where are we right now? Got to replace a couple guys. Jerome Carvin, Darnell Wright's in that competition. I mean, in that conversation also as guys going to the NFL. You have leadership skills up front with Mays and Spraggins. Also been another guy that can lead this group. As long as you have 1 or 2 dudes that can drag everybody else with them on the offensive line to kind of set a standard that they play by, I think you're good. Defensively, Amari Hand has been a guy. Amari Thomas has been a guy that's for Tennessee has been a player on the field. From my understanding is he's been pushed to be more of a vocal leader. He's been pushed more to kind of drag those younger guys with him, because you're all about the legacy you leave behind too. So being in the position to where they've recruited the last 2 cycles of getting high outside edge rushers, I'm hoping that we see those guys get after quarterback. The one way to beat teams is put the quarterback on his back. And if we can stop the run, we'll be in a real good spot. But, of course, the SEC is all about controlling the line of scrimmage. We have to do our part, especially as fast as the offense play. Having the depth to be able to rotate guys defensively if they're out there longer than expected.
Piggybacking off that, a couple of transfers come in expected to start right away with Carrick and Campbell.
Yep.
You expect those guys to make a big impact, but additionally, speaking of how fast Tennessee plays, how much of an impact does that have on offensive lines? Does that help the offensive line, how quickly they play and how quickly that Joe Milton and Hendon Hooker and those
Depends
guys
on what kind of shape
have?
they're in.
Yeah.
Well, how they've been, they read quickly.
Yeah, they do. From an offensive line perspective, I loved it. When we went no huddle in my professional time in Pittsburgh, I loved it. Especially, this is the other thing, if you're get that first pass out the way in this completion or that first down. After that, we as offensive linemen can pace ourselves better than defensive linemen. If a defensive lineman doesn't run to the ball, that's a big play. If a linebacker doesn't run to the ball, that's a big play. For us, we get a 20-yard play, we get a 20-yard catch, we jog down the field. You're able to preserve yourself. So conditioning does matter, but there is a fine line of balancing how you condition yourself from one play to the next. We can sustain longer, and this is the best part about playing fast up-tempo ball. If we get a first down and don't change personnel, those defenders have to stay on the field. So if they have to stay on the field or they're exchanging guys out, then we get the 12-man on the field penalty. Like, there's bonuses to being able to do that. But I know the strength and conditioning crew at Tennessee is good about having their guys ready. So it's actually more advantageous for the offensive line.
I just think that, with this, the offensive line particularly was a big strength last year. They kept Hendon Hooker upright all year long, and if they can do that with Joe Milton, you feel like he's gonna make defenses pay.
I kind of say this about that: if we go an entire year and Joe Milton's the starting quarterback with the Tennessee Vols, that's a good season. That means he's been protected. He's refined his passing. Good decisions, and the offense is moving because y'all know, like I know, anytime there's a 5-star guy on campus, on any campus, everybody and their mama and fans is looking for him to get on the field. So if Joe starts the entire year, even better for us.
No question.
That's a heck of a situation that UT finds themselves in at the quarterback
It
position.
is.
And as Wade said,
Been a while.
going to be a lot of talk about that. But you've got Nico.
Yeah.
And whether it's reality or whether it's just perception, he's pushing Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And what we've seen of Joe lately has been better than what we saw of Joe earlier.
Yes.
What are your expectations for Joe going into this season?
Be a leader. And I think for anybody that's played at the next level, whether it be college, pros, or whatever, you have to learn this. Minimize your weaknesses. His weaknesses have been what? Throwing the soft pass over the middle, taking a little bit off his touch when it comes to him delivering those short 5 to 7 yard passes. If he minimizes his weaknesses, his strengths are going to take him a skyrocket. I'm talking about a NASA rocket to the first round. Okay, like that's what it takes for a guy like him. So that's my expectation. The leadership, quarterback, you're handed the keys to the car. You're the CEO of the campus, essentially. That's expected. You're supposed to lead. You're supposed to be a good teammate. Minimize your weaknesses because that's going to be your strengths to the team. The deep balls, we talk about that all day, but if we can't hit that 7 yard end for a first down, what are we talking about?
Got to be able to do it. No question. Of course, you got guys like Brew McCoy who can go over the middle and catch those balls, which makes a big difference. And you've got Squirrel on the outside who can take the top off. This offense seems to be loaded, and this team seems to be loaded. As long as the defense can hold up on the secondary, Tennessee ought to have a pretty good year.
It does. And you said all of that. You know what you said? Nothing about the play calling because it's all about the Jimmies and Joes.
No X's and O's, Jimmies and Joes all day long.
Yes, indeed.
Ramon Foster joining us here on Main Street Sports today with our coverage from SEC Football Media Days kickoff event at the Grand Hyatt in Nashville. Ramon, thanks for taking time with us, man. We really appreciate you. Looking forward to a good year of Tennessee football.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys.
Go get you a nap.
Hey, go Vols.
Thank you, Ramon.
We'll be right. All right. That was Ramon Foster of Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5. Here
from 6 to 10,
Nashville. 6.
So hopefully he is napping.
10 a.m. Good luck to him. About that time too. About that time of day where I'm just ready to.
I'm ready to take one now.
Hit the hay for just a moment or two. But I like what he said there. As far as this is one of those years for Tennessee where Jimmy's and Joe's kind of match the top level, and not just at the starter position. He's finally gotten a chance to get a little depth in there. And with that being the case, I think you got to watch out.
Yeah, they might be ready to kind of upset the apple cart to some degree. And again, last week the NCAA sanctions were handed down from the Pruitt era and that kind of thing. And now this bunch can really go out and recruit without having to answer the questions of what's going to happen to you with the NCAA, that kind of thing. And when you look at this roster and what they've done to upgrade it from the Pruitt era to this point, it really makes you, if you're a UT fan, really optimistic about what lies ahead with Josh Pruitt and this coaching staff. I'm sorry, Josh Heupel and this coaching staff.
And this schedule actually lines up fairly well. Outside of the trip to Tuscaloosa, this is about as navigable a schedule as you could hope for Tennessee in a year coming off.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, right. the excellent verbal and written communication skills. I feel like, seriously, this is a schedule that really sets up well for Heupel and this group.
That September 30th game, how bad is that going to be?
As bad as Josh Heupel wants it to be, I think.
I agree.
I feel like if they're able to go into Gainesville, beat Florida, they come out of UTSA refreshed with all the momentum in all of the world. And you've got a revenge game on top of that.
And you've got a South Carolina game that will have been pushed, if not beaten, in its opener against South Carolina. And will have played Georgia in week 3. So
I mean, both teams actually have very similar schedules. Other than, obviously South Carolina's play the extra conference game in between there. So, and look, say what you want about Mississippi State. They're UTSA is not Mississippi State. Mississippi State's going to go in there into Columbia, and they're going to beat on South Carolina for a little while. They're going to wear them down a little bit because they're an SEC caliber football team. Tennessee's going to be coming off of, UTSA and
as we talked about South Carolina earlier, I mean, that's a team that if they're not careful, they could be 1-3 going into Tennessee.
That's right. And I feel like this is, and Tennessee is definitely going to have last year on its mind.
Yeah,
no question. What does Phil say?
I'm sitting here. I'm glancing through Phil Steele, and Tennessee 18th ranked schedule in terms of difficulty. The game against Virginia, odds makers already have them around 28 points. I mean, Tennessee massively favored in that game. Game against Florida, Tennessee's already favored by over a touchdown. And the game against South Carolina favored by 2 touchdowns. So really the crux of your season, which is not, I guess, that big of a surprise, is can you handle business at home versus Texas A&M? What can you do at Alabama the following week? That is a really tough back-to-back stretch for the Vols there. And then you get Connecticut, you're at Missouri to hopefully throw whatever you got in the kitchen sink when you go, when Georgia comes calling on November 18th.
Let me ask you this.
Let me say this before you ask me this. A lot of people who know a lot about football have flatly declared that Tennessee is going to beat Georgia in Knoxville.
And I agree. I mean, I'm not a person who knows a lot about football, but I tend to agree with that statement. And here's the question. Let's say Alabama does somehow beat Tennessee, but Tennessee beats Georgia. Alabama doesn't win the West, so they don't get a chance to beat them in the SEC championship. Does Tennessee make the playoff at 11-1 and a SEC championship win over LSU?
You're asking me if a one-loss SEC champion makes the title game?
I don't think it's
makes the playoffs.
And if Alabama's only losses to LSU, and that's why they don't make the championship, is a Tennessee-Alabama national championship a possibility? And holy cow, could you imagine? Is it in Atlanta this year? Oh my gosh!
I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
The semifinals are the Rose Bowl and Sugar Bowl.
I think it's in Atlanta.
Championship in Houston this year.
Oh. Even better.
Yeah. Big stage.
Holy cow. That would be something worth watching.
It's something worth watching, and it's something fun to think about. And again, your season really kind of, even if you throw out the Texas A&M, now your season really kind of just boils down to those 2 games at Alabama and Georgia. And you are 100% right, Chris, when you say you can almost feel the weight of that Georgia game, and you can almost feel Neyland Stadium rocking as we sit here today in mid-July. I mean, that is going to be one of those, like when Oklahoma came to town and the Florida game a couple years ago, where we're talking there will be a decibel meter shown on virtually every second of that broadcast, because that is going to be an all-timer in terms of atmosphere.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I'm super pumped about this Tennessee team, and of course, we'll talk a lot about it on this show, Main Street Sports Today. We're going to tell you about Dairy Berry Heat and Air, proudly serving Middle Tennessee for more than 35 years for outstanding service. Call Dairy Berries at 615-452-8121 for all your heating and air needs. Dairy Berries Heat and Air, making customers for life and comfort for your dairy air. We'll be right back with more from SEC Media Days kickoff event here at the Grand Hyatt, and looking forward to perhaps a sit-down with the special guests. So stick around. We'll tell you who it is right after this.
Founded in 2005, Pamela Witt, First Lending Solutions, has a reputation of consistently offering the lowest possible rates and, above all, providing outstanding customer service. Pamela Witt, First Lending Solutions, takes pride in treating our clients with honesty and integrity. We provide excellent service and experience you can trust for all your mortgage needs, proudly serving all of Tennessee. Apply today. Call Pamela Witt, First Lending Solutions, 858-518-1506, or online at www.firstlendingonline.com.
NMLS number 314276, ID 135932. Serving Williamson and surrounding counties, Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee offers comprehensive orthopedic care with subspecialized physicians. Our practice provides high-tech care with a hometown touch. We offer physician clinics, physical and occupational therapy, advanced imaging, and surgical services, including interventional procedures. Call us at 615-791-2630. We're Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee. High-tech care with a hometown touch.
Complete Service Heat and Air is a trusted provider of top-notch heating and cooling solutions dedicated to ensuring optimal comfort and efficiency for residential and commercial spaces. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air the right way 24/7 service. Call us at 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties.
Craving the juiciest, most delicious burgers in Dixon? Look no further. Luke's Burgers and Breakfast has got you covered. Whether you're in the mood for a mouth-watering cheeseburger or a breakfast burrito, we have it all. Our secret? Only the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection every time. So why settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary? Come on down to Luke's Burgers and Breakfast, where every bite is an experience.
At 24 Realty, we understand that buying or selling a home is one of life's most significant decisions. That's why our team of dedicated professionals is here to guide you every step of the way, ensuring a stress-free experience. So if you're ready to embark on your real estate journey, choose the best. 24 Realty, voted the best real estate company in Cheatham County for 6 years in a row. Contact us today at 615-247-7247.
Don't let pain keep you from doing the things you love. With our world-class physicians, Houston Clinic Orthopedics will have you back enjoying your life in no time. From ortho care to physical therapy and more. Visit our website to book an appointment. Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
When it comes to your insurance and financial needs, trust the team at Micah Blount State Farm. We're here to help you protect what matters most. As your trusted advisor, we'll work with you to find the right coverage for your unique situation. Whether you're looking for auto, home, life, or business insurance, we've got you covered. Call us today or visit our website to learn more. Let's talk.
Welcome back to Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joints, coverage of SEC Football Media Days kickoff event here at the Grand Hyatt in downtown Nashville. It's been a fantastic week. We are winding down, as tomorrow, for those of you who are not aware, we will not be on live. We'll be at the Tennessee Press Association Awards, so we will be bringing you a best of edition of SEC Media Days segments like this next one. As a matter of fact, all of the guests that we had this week, we'll compile them into one show just for you guys. So make sure to tune in at 2 o'clock and see all of the things that you may have missed here from SEC Media Days. But we are joined by ESPN's Chris Lowe, who is one letter away from Chris Yao.
One letter and
a little pronunciation issue.
And so many other ways.
Just a little bit.
But
I get your mail every once in a while.
You probably have.
He gets your checks, you get his bills. Chris, appreciate you taking some time, man. I'm sure it's been a busy week for you as well, between doing some hits down here and doing a little writing. At least we haven't had to write.
We have not had to write. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's back in the day, that's all we did, right?
Yeah, right.
Radio, TV, there was digital shows mowing our dinosaurs. So we remember the days when dinosaurs roamed the earth.
Don't remind me. What's been your biggest story this week?
Probably, I would say Kirby Smart sort of going on the defensive again about what's happened, this offseason at Georgia, and trying to sort of convey where he's coming from, yet protect his program, and say, listen, when I sat down with him, it's listen. He said, there's to me a huge difference between speeding and racing, and then kids getting speeding tickets, and he understands why there's extra scrutiny because of the tragic deaths of the Devin Willock and the recruiting staff on his staff. So he gets that, and I think he has turned not that he's not policing it, but I think the leadership on that Georgia football team, Cedric Van Pran, some of the guys who've been around for a while, are really trying to step up and make sure that, you can't, we're at a point right now, we can't have any more of these things. We can't have any more speeding tickets. We can't have any more issues where people are racing, certainly. And, it's been a tough offseason. I talked to him, and he just said it's been a long, tough, heart-wrenching offseason to lose two people at the part of your program, and then you have all these things after that, guys speeding, guys getting in trouble. Been a lot of other accusations. I mean, we don't all know about the big stink with the AJC in Georgia. And I think probably more than anything, Kirby and his players are just ready to get on the practice field and play football again.
That's, it's tough especially again, when you've had the success that they've had the last couple of years coming off back-to-back national championships. They just want to get back to focusing on football, and you've got all this other stuff kind of swirling around your program, and you don't want to minimize the tragic losses by just calling them distractions and that kind of thing, but at the same time, trying to strike that balance within your program in particular has got to be a little tough.
No, it is, Mo. It's I don't think any coach go through what Kirby and that whole staff and that program went through, to lose two people in your program. So it's just such a senseless type deal, and when that happens, when something terrible like that happens, you hope that, the bond and the brotherhood on the team, you can come together and sort of lean on each other. And I think when you have, as you pointed out, other things happening, driving related issues, going 35 or 40 miles over the speed limit, some of the things that have happened, then those become magnified, and no coach likes that. And I think a lot of people there at Georgia, fans included, want to know, well, how come every ticket now that a kid gets is on the quote unquote front page of the paper? Well, the reason is because you had this tragic issue back in January after the national championship celebration, and that's sort of here we are. And I think Kirby Smart understands that. He understands that there's going to be added extra scrutiny on his program. Everybody's going to be watching. But as much as anything, as a head football coach now, you got to get guys back in the fold, focused on what you're focused on, and you can't get caught up, as you said, on the things that have been going on off the field. I repeat myself. I think the best medicine for Georgia's football team is just to get back in to preseason practice, which is going to start here in a couple of weeks, and then to start gearing for the season, because they still got a really good, talented football team.
Yeah, the football program is certainly top notch, and right now, obviously, the class of the SEC, nobody's three-peat since the 70s, so they got a pretty tough hill to climb, especially when you're talking about the SEC. This is the most difficult, the toughest conference in all of Power 5 football. Can they do it? Will they do it? And if not, who's their biggest threat?
Maybe the three-peat Chicago Bulls back in the
yeah,
nice. We were looking up. The NCAA is so screwy in how they, before the BCS and playoffs, how they determine national championships. Mo and I are old enough to remember the old polls when you'd have split national championships. Mm-hmm. I think if you to find a school that won 3 straight quote unquote undisputed, I think you go back to the 30s maybe.
Wow.
Minnesota. I think Minnesota in the 30s won 3 straight. Now Notre Dame may claim one there in the 40s,
probably,
but it's been a long time, and especially to do it in the SEC that's been as good as the SEC's been over the last 2 decades. And Kirby came right in, had just a so-so year his first year, and gosh, in 17 they were in the national championship game and lost in a essentially the last play of the game against Alabama. So it's they are the class. I think they have passed Alabama. Does that mean that I think Alabama can't retake? Then no, I think Alabama's going to have a good year. I think Nick Saban feels like he's probably going to have a more complete football team. They probably leaned a little bit too much on Bryce Young last year, maybe the last 2 years. And
Jahmyr Gibbs was there, and they didn't necessarily utilize him.
And I think sometimes, Mo, you go back to great players over the years. You don't try to, but as a teammate, sometimes you stand there and this guy's so good, you're just waiting for him to make a play, and it takes away from the entire team. And I think that happened a little bit over the last couple of years because Bryce was so good and such a magician. He was always making plays, had 10 eyes. He knew where defenders were coming from, and they're gonna need more guys to be. It's gonna have to be a more complete effort this year for Bama to be back in the national championship mix. I do think they'll be better in the offensive line. I think they'll run the ball better. I think defensively, you're going to see a defense under Kevin Steele who's going to really put a premium on trying to force turnovers and create negative plays. Bama didn't force a lot of turnovers last year, and that's sort of been their calling card when they've been really good on defense. Remember that one year they scored all those defensive touchdowns?
The non-offensive touchdowns were it was like 7 weeks in a row they had a non-offensive touchdown.
They sort of gotten away from that a little bit, and I think that's going to be a priority this year on defense to try to create more havoc on defense, short fields for the offense, and maybe even score some touchdowns.
Is that what you heard? Nick Saban gets a little, speaking of defensive, he gets a little defensive here sometimes. Did you get that feeling that he's a little perturbed by some of the rumblings of his legacy and that sort of thing, and the question marks surrounding his team?
I don't think he thinks a lot about his legacy. What I think it's more that here's this program that has won 6 titles under him. He won one at LSU before, and they've done it over a period of time when the SEC's been really good, and all of a sudden they don't win 2 national titles, and people are like, well, they've lost their fastball. Nick's lost his fastball.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, the stat that puts in what their consistency puts in perspective is, since he got there in 2007, they've never gone more than 2 years without winning a national title. This would be, if they didn't win it this year, this would be the first time that's happened. So I think he, the whole, and he'll tell you, hey, we created that monster. You got to feed it. You got to keep feeding it. He gets that. But I think inside that building, from Nick on down, they're very aware that people think, well, Alabama's best days are behind them under Nick Saban. And that will guarantee you game day, game week, when they play Tennessee again, when they play LSU again, when they get those big games like that. Texas comes into Tuscaloosa the second week of the season. Bama barely beat Texas last year. I can promise you those things will be remembered.
Chris, kick out Alabama, kick out Georgia, and even just Tennessee for today's sake. But who's the team that throughout the course of this week, maybe you have a little bit different perception after media days, or who's the team maybe now that the expectations are potentially even higher than we initially thought?
I think a lot of people are sleeping on Texas A&M, and I understand why, that they were so dysfunctional last year and just really underachieved. There's no way A&M should have a losing record with the way they've recruited the last couple of years. I think Petrino coming in will help them on offense. The proof's going to be in the pudding. Does Jimbo completely relinquish play calling duties? And he insists to me that he is. He said, I wouldn't have brought Bobby Petrino in unless I were going to let him call plays. I've got to be more hands-on in other areas of our program. I think they've recruited well. I think they got rid of last year some guys in that one class that just weren't real interested in buying in. I think they've gotten rid of some of those guys that just weren't team-oriented. They're talented. It's not like they don't have talent. So I think they're a team. I don't think they're better than Bama. I don't think they're better than LSU, but I think they're closer than a lot of people think they are. It can certainly factor in to who wins the West Division this year.
And you mentioned LSU, obviously at the quarterback position. This is going to be a fun league to watch because Bryce Young's obviously departing, but seems like we have a great crop of quarterbacks. And I'm curious, how does year 2 of the Brian Kelly experience unfold? Because last year they kind of caught the league by storm a little bit, which may or may not have been a surprise to a lot of folks.
Yeah, well, year 1 is pretty good. And
right.
You know what last year reminds me is that coaching still matters. Brian Kelly can coach. He's done it on big stages. He's done it at pressure cookers like a Notre Dame. I mean, they won how many straight years? They win 10 games, and then that all of a sudden was not enough for Notre Dame, which is a big reason why I think he's at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. All right, it's not enough. Let's go somewhere else. It's got the resources and the money and the talent base to win at an even higher level. So, no, I think you mentioned Jaden Daniels. He was one of the more improved players in the country last year. He got better and better every week. Defensively, if they get Mason Smith, the defensive tackle, healthy this year, which I think he is, with Harold Perkins rushing the passer, they got a chance to be really good. The one area where defensive back is the one area where they've always been good. When has LSU not been just great in the secondary?
Mm-hmm.
There are some questions back on the back end like that, but I like them a lot. I think the West is going to be a good race. LSU has to play at Tuscaloosa this year. Alabama's got to go to Texas A&M. They're going to, and I wouldn't
struggle.
Yeah, and I wouldn't count out teams like Ole Miss and Arkansas. I think Arkansas is another team maybe being a little slept on because you bring back. Is there a better quarterback running back duo in the conference than KJ Jefferson, Rocket Sanders?
Nope.
I don't think there is.
No.
Only because Rocket and Quinshon are so close. I mean, Jackson Dart could potentially get there, but I don't think he's
Jackson
KJ
Dart
Jefferson.
is not where Jefferson is.
Right.
I mean, like you said, Quinshon and Rocket are close, but Dart and Jefferson aren't. So,
I think
KJ's
again,
third
to answer
year.
your question, no.
Yeah.
ESPN's Chris Lowe joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, as we continue to broadcast live from what remains of SEC football media days here at the Grand Hyatt in Nashville. Chris, some of us were talking yesterday at the reception over at Nissan Stadium, for which we got a police escort, by the way.
That was nice.
We've ridden in the back of police cars, but we've never been escorted by a police car. Anyway, we were talking about LSU, and to your point, Brian Kelly is probably going to go there and win a national championship because that's what coaches do at LSU. The last 2 coaches they've had.
Last three.
Les Miles. Last 3 coaches they've had have each won a national championship. So,
poor Jerry DiNardo.
So, I mean, what makes you think that Brian Kelly isn't going to win one before he leaves?
Right? Yeah, I mean, at the 0-1-1 with a great roster. I mean, they had an unbelievable roster that year. You're right, Les Miles. And Les Miles had a couple teams that were pretty darn close to winning national titles.
Would have won 2 if Oklahoma State doesn't blow it against Iowa State.
And you're right, going all the way back to Nick in 2003 when he won there. That's a place that's, there are not many places that are ready-made to win national titles, but LSU is. I mean, you're the school in that state. I mean, when kids grow up, and it's a great state for talent. There's a lot of great football players. You're not far from Houston, which is loaded with great football players. But kids that want, if you grow up in Shreveport or Monroe or Baton Rouge or New Orleans, those kids grow up Tiger fans because it's not like Alabama, state of Alabama, where you're Auburn and Alabama.
It's the only game in town.
Yeah, it's the only other. Arkansas is a little bit like that, but I don't think Arkansas. Well, I know Arkansas doesn't have the talent the state of Louisiana
not the
does,
depth.
and maybe Nebraska. And Nebraska's been down for a while. Nebraska's football talent is also not to the level of Louisiana's. So I think I've always argued with people about that. I think LSU is one of the best 4 programs in college football or job. Let me say this: jobs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you were lining up the best jobs in college football, Ohio State, Georgia, LSU, and now Nick has made Alabama. I think Alabama is certainly in the top 5. But to me, those are. And even SC, SC, everybody says, well, you should get all the West Coast talent. Well, there are a lot of people out recruiting in Los Angeles, and they've been down for a while.
Everybody that's anybody is out
but
there.
most points right. LSU, no matter who's been the coach there, has won at some point. They won a national title,
You just
or
have
at least
to not
played.
screw it up.
Yeah, or at least played for one, or been in the SEC And the other school like that, sort of surprisingly, at least here recently, as dysfunctional as they've been, is Auburn. Think about this. Auburn, in the last 12 years, has either won a national title, played in the national title game, or has been in an SEC championship game. Had they won that game in 2017, would have been in the playoff when they beat Bama and Georgia in back-to-back weeks and then lost to Georgia in the rematch. So a lot of people say it's screwed up, the boosters. That's true, but when Auburn gets it right, it's another job with great facilities and fan support and tradition. There are a lot of schools, a lot of jobs like that, in the SEC.
What's your take on Auburn, the Hugh Freeze experience?
The Hugh Freeze experience.
We've kind of, for whatever reason, this week they've kind of slipped under the radar just because maybe it is Hugh Freeze's first year. What's your take on the Tigers this year?
He's done a nice job of sort of replenishing the roster. They've hit the portal hard. I don't think they're ready to challenge in the West. I do think they'll be better. Of course, last year they were really bad. Really, really bad, especially on offense. I think they'll be much improved on the offensive side of the football. We'll see. Hugh can recruit. He's really good at relationships, connecting with people. I think the Auburn community, he seems to fit, that community, getting out among people and forming relationships. But I think Hugh will even tell you that there's not a lot of people there. And I'm not saying that they're going to be looking for moral victories, but I don't think a lot of people there think they're going to be a double-digit win team or a 9-10 win team. But I do bet you come November, they'll be a better football team than they were in September. I think they'll get better as the year goes on.
It's going to be an interesting year. Again, like you said, the SEC West, we've talked about it all week. It's wide open. The SEC East really looks like it comes down to one and two, maybe three teams. I don't know Florida if they're in there. I don't think they are right now, but it's debatable among some folks at least. But it should be an interesting year. And Chris, we look forward to reading more about what you've got going on here on ESPN.com. Chris Lowe joining us. Chris, thanks for taking time.
Yep. See you guys in Dallas next year when the conference goes to 16 teams.
That should be fun.
Good to be with you guys.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay.
All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Titans' new uniforms. They come out Sunday, but they've been leaked. So what do we think? Also, the Indianapolis Colts put out their alternate uniforms. We'll talk about them as well. So stick around here. Main Street Sports Today comes back to the Lee Company studio right after this. This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee sports editor, three-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
Other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama. So other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice. We are back for the final segment of the week from SEC Football Media Days, kickoff event at the Grand Hyatt. This is Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Thanks to our friends at Complete Service Heat and Air for all of their support all week long and all of your support as well. Those of you out there watching and listening to the show, we certainly appreciate it. And Chris Yao and Mo Patton here. We'll get Wade back when
we get Wade back.
Whenever he gets back. But this is always interesting because we get the final segment of the week is typically looking ahead to what's going on this weekend. Well, one of the big things going on this weekend is the Tennessee Titans will be releasing and unveiling their 2023 alternate uniforms, which we've long suspected would be a Love You Blue Oilers throwback, and the leaked photos that are out there seem to confirm. What do we think?
I ain't mad about it.
Those colors, man,
they pop.
It's just an absolute perfect combination.
Let the record show they were on my most iconic uniform list from earlier in the week.
Just not on your top 5, huh?
Well, they were in the list. I snagged them. I thought one of you guys was going to pluck them out from underneath me. So I may have reached a little bit, but they are elite in my opinion.
Yeah.
No, and it's not just. And I'm curious to what I think I'm most curious about is what the helmet's going to look like. It's going to be the white helmet, or are they going to do the Love You Blue helmet?
Good question.
Because they've had that Love You Blue helmet with the white oil rig, and we've seen that before. But the white helmet to me just really it makes the uniform.
Yeah.
I don't want this to be a color rush type uniform where it's just too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think you go with those jerseys on white pants and a white helmet, like you said. So.
That'd be a sharp combo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge fan of the combo. I think, obviously I love the two-tone blue.
Yeah.
We've always been fans of any two-tone blue.
I've always been a powder blue fan too. So.
Give me powder blue and a dark color with it, and I'm usually right there in with you. So we believe that you said they were unveiled to some season ticket holders last night at Nissan Stadium on the other side of the stadium. We should have just walked around. I didn't know.
Right. You had your pick last night. You could hang and support the SEC, or you could go over and check out
see some new unis.
The Oilers threads. Now, I will say this, and we had the graphic pulled up just a moment ago. When you look at it, you say, "Yep, that's the Oilers uniforms," but that speaks to how sharp that they are, that you really don't got to do much, and there hadn't been much done to them. You just roll out what you had, and it stands that much alone that it looks great. They didn't really need to tweak a whole lot on this thing. They look fantastic.
Always have. And I think that's what I'm loving about this.
Looking less fantastic.
Yeah, the Indianapolis Colts put theirs out today and went with a black helmet, which, look, I don't hate this.
I don't hate the black helmet.
I don't hate the color scheme. I mean, Duke uses this exact color scheme, and I love it. But as a whole, this uniform is very awkward with the double stripe on the shoulders. It looks like it almost feels like they tried to throw it back to like wool uniform days, and maybe that was the plan. I don't know, but they're calling it Indiana Knights, and I don't understand what the
significance of
what the heather looking pattern on the uniform signifies. I don't know that I understand it, and maybe that's my problem with the uniform. The double stripe on the pants is fine. I think that looks good. I think the helmet looks really, really good. I would almost let them do that all the time.
It really kind of reminds me, and this might not be a good time to invoke this, but really kind of reminds me of Northwestern's uniforms.
Yeah, in a way, with the
big numbers, the big white numbers.
Yeah, the way
and
Northwestern does the old
yeah.
school stripes. Yeah, you're right. I forgot that Northwestern does that. Goodness gracious, please don't pull up some of those awkward Memphis uniforms.
Now, I was going to say, to me, it's kind of like a bootleg, kind of wannabe version of the Memphis Tigers uniforms. And it was worth pointing out, by the way, that they're going to wear these uniforms versus the Cleveland Browns.
They are going to wear these.
That just feels like the perfect time to maybe just, hey, if these go over, awesome. We figured it out, and we presumably, maybe, hopefully get a win versus the Browns. If we wasted it, oh well. At least we wasted it on the Browns. It was just Cleveland. So somehow the Browns end up becoming a slight butt of a joke, no matter what.
Are these the Browns alternates? Because I'm kind of okay with these. These are kind of fire.
The white helmets are
A white Browns helmet with the is that black or is it brown?
It looks black.
It looks black, but I'm sure it's that dark brown color. It's got to be.
Got to be.
I don't know why
And it can't be black if you're the Browns.
If you're the Browns, I mean that's kind of that's literally the point.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting. That is okay. Okay,
those are pretty fresh.
I'm a big fan.
Well, I feel like their color scheme really limits them.
Their color scheme might limit them, but also I think it's if you're going to do orange and you're going to have another color with it, the dark brown or black is the only way you can go. And that dark brown really does kind of it accents it well, and it's unique. Nobody else does that.
Mm-hmm.
They are the only ones.
That's a team that
maybe there's a good reason for that.
That's a team that maybe you don't always pick on Madden, but when you do pick them, you kind of look before the game and you say, "Ooh, I got some cool little combinations at my disposal here." I'm with you on that on the Browns.
Yeah, I feel like that the Titans are certainly going to have the best alternate uniforms in the NFL this year. I don't think there's any question there.
Hands down, I feel like that's going to be a league-wide
that's
consensus.
A big dub.
If they're not the best, I don't know who is. So,
what else are we looking forward to? I know. Wade is looking forward to staying up all night and watching women's soccer down under.
Who we got tonight? Nigeria is playing Spain, I'm pretty sure. No.
Panama. I don't know.
I tried there. I will tell you this, though. Tomorrow night, must-see TV, USA versus Vietnam, 8 p.m. The over-under on USA, that's going to be a big game, believe it or not, especially because Canada's going to be fighting against Australia, who already got a win this morning. But USA versus Vietnam, we will take out decades of potential geopolitical frustrations in the women's soccer realm in 90 minutes. USA will score 6 goals minimum to beat Vietnam, in my humble
got
opinion.
The triple header tonight. It starts with Nigeria, Canada at 9:30 p.m. Then at midnight, you get the Philippines and Switzerland. I thought Switzerland was supposed to be neutral. I didn't know that they were, involved in this. And then following that, Spain and Costa Rica at 2:30. I don't know if it's Costa Costa. I was going to say Costa Rica, but then I was like, hey, let's just switch it up. So
I think it's Costa.
I think it is too.
I will say this. Speaking of Costa Rica, since we are just randomly talking Women's World Cup here, 2:30 in the morning, I'm not going to be up to watch it, but I got to give a quick shout out to our Fabiola Sanchez, who's a former student athlete of mine at Martin Methodist College. She is on the Costa Rican national team.
And you're not going to get up to watch.
Well, I didn't say that I wasn't going to get up live to watch. I may get up to get ready for tomorrow and watch on a delay.
That's a good idea.
Wow.
But then again, who knows if you get it? How about this? If I'm up at 2:30 watching that, I will send both of you guys a text.
You can send it.
And I'm going to request a read receipt, and we'll see what time I get it back. But unlikely to watch live, but I had to give Fabi a shout out.
You can watch the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Edmonton Elks tonight if you want at 7:30 on TSN. I don't know how you watch TSN, but if you find a way, feel free.
Or if you leave now, from wherever you're at, if you leave now, you can get to Columbia in time for the losers bracket finals and the championship game of the Little League State Tournament at Murray County Park. Columbia and Morristown will play in the 6 o'clock losers bracket final. The winner will immediately play two-time defending state champion Nolensville for the right to go to the Southeast Regional down in Warner Robins and play for a spot in the Little League World Series in Williamsport.
We didn't get a chance to talk to Heather Williams this week, but NASCAR is in Long Pond, Pennsylvania for the highpoint.com 400. We'll talk to her next week. We'll get Chip Walters back on Tuesday, Heather Williams on Wednesday. Monday will be Reaction Monday. We'll react to all of the things across the sports world, including the SEC football preseason polls.
All conference
and
teams.
all conference teams. So that'll be a lot of fun. Come back with us.
And again, we'll have a best of show on tomorrow because
right.
we'll be recovering.
I just want to say real quick, gentlemen, thank you for having me all week. It's been an honor and a privilege, and we certainly had a blast.
It has been fun. It has been fun, and it has been stressful. But we have covered 14 teams in 4 days. We've given you exclusive interviews with a number of high-profile individuals, and that's what you can expect here on Main Street Sports Today throughout the rest of our time. Until the next time, Mo.
Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.